3D environment created in Blender. But to me, that feeling of artificiality or uncanniness only adds to the liminality. There's actually a really interesting 2022 study that explores the concept of uncanniness in physical spaces, specifically trying to recreate the N-curve of the uncanny valley, but in rooms and environments instead of people and faces. And they were successful, with the vast majority of photos from the study being deeply liminal, or at the very least sharing heavily liminal aspects. And so, why is that? Why is it that even the most mundane liminal images have this uncanny quality? Well, I think a part of it's the transitory nostalgia we've already talked about, but I think there's something else here too. There's a type of liminal space imagery that gets very weird, with ethereal, unnatural lighting, environments that seem to bend physical dimensions or stretch on far longer than they should, rooms that feel less like anything a human would design and more like these abstract approximations of living space, designed without purpose or function. And what's really interesting is how people have pushed that surreal quality by taking these images out of reality entirely. Twitter user Do you dim? Oh god. Twitter user Joji has built a following from massively viral digital paintings of these eerie, haunting, low polygon landscapes. These are very obviously not real, but that artificiality only adds to the liminal feeling. Like, these are spaces that have been so forgotten, drifted so far from our reality, that they now barely resemble it. And while I hold no real nostalgia for Minecraft, I have to imagine that if you do, these images hit on an entirely different level. Maybe the most exciting thing about these artificial liminal worlds, though, is the opportunity to exist in them. Which brings us to one of my favorite things I discovered over the course of researching this video: a free Steam game called The Complex found footage. The Complex takes the environments of liminal space imagery and recreates them in these meticulously crafted 3D worlds. And after staring at these images for weeks, I cannot overstate how powerful an experience it was to be able to walk around inside them. The Dream Pool stage in particular being one of the most serene, eerie, and liminal experiences I've ever had. And it made me realize something. Wandering around these environments that are devoid of purpose or function, spaces that feel slotted together from fragmented memories and experiences, it was the feeling of existing in a dream. Over the years, other games have attempted to recreate that feeling, like LSD Dream Emulator, but maybe the most successful and impactful was a Japanese indie title uploaded June 26th, 2004. Yume Nikki Dream Diary is a strange game. There's no goal, no combat, not even a fail state. What there is you and a massive abstract dream world. I hate saying stuff like this because it always feels like a cop-out, but there's nothing I can say that's going to describe the feeling of you sitting down late at night with a pair of headphones and just letting this game happen. Getting lost in its massive, bizarre world and discovering these surreal and unsettling things that wait there as it swims back and forth between places that kind of resemble our reality to sprawls of more eerie, abstract landscapes. Yume Nikki had a huge impact on early online indie games, practically spawning its own subgenre to the point that it now even has merch on Fangamer. And that's because I think Yume Nikki captured the same thing that the most powerful and surreal liminal space imagery does. The feeling of existing in this impossible world between sleep and our waking reality. Dreams being the original liminal spaces. transitory emptiness, uncanny nostalgia, and a surreal, artificial, or dreamlike quality. These to me are the three pillars of liminal imagery, and any liminal space is likely going to have one or more of these qualities. But it's worth noting that liminality is subjective. The pictures and qualities I find liminal may not be what you do, and that's because I think these feelings are deeply rooted in our past as well as just who we are. But I think that's also why when you do find that one image that just hits you, I don't know how else to put it. It's a personal, powerful experience. And for me, this is that image. And just, goddamn, the emptiness, the stillness, the amber sunset seeping in through the fogged window glass, the impersonal curves of the tables and chairs. This could be any interior of any diner from the last 60 years. The immaculate, polished gleam on everything, whispering that this place might not even be real. Yet it just feels so familiar. I know I've never been here, but I have. I've stopped here on long drives through unfamiliar roads. I've sat here with friends picking at cold food till 2 a.m. I've eaten here alone, worrying about shit that probably never mattered. A dozen different memories that all bleed together and overlap in this impossible kaleidoscope of what used to be, all captured in the empty space of this place I have never been. And for as sentimental as all this is, I do think it's experiences like this that are at the heart of why liminal spaces resonate so strongly with people. So what the fuck does any of that have to do with horror? Well, up until now, honestly, not a lot. But I would now like to talk about a moment from the complex which scared me in a way that I don't know anything else has. At this point, you've spent minutes walking through this nauseating maze of fluorescent light on yellow walls. Identical room after identical room after identical room. And just as the sheer monotony of it all begins to weigh on you, a waist-high gap in the wall, out of which spills a blood-red light onto the floor in front of you. The point here is not what comes next, but this singular moment of empty dread. This is our first trace of what I'm going to call liminal horror. And before we deep dive into exactly what liminal horror is, I think we first need to talk about what it isn't. And oh boy, people are gonna get mad at me. On January 7th of 2022, a video was uploaded to YouTube titled "The Backrooms Found Footage." The video starts found footage style with an unseen protagonist shooting a movie with their friends before they glitch out of reality, landing in a space that sure does resemble that original liminal space image. Our protagonist ventures deeper into the maze of sickly yellow, and as they do, discover different environments all resembling classical liminal space imagery, eventually encountering a massive twine-like monster that chases them back through this maze before they plummet down a hole, crashing back into our world. What this video represents online is a turning point between liminal space and an entirely different online phenomenon, but one born from the same image. On May 12th, 2019, that original liminal space photo was posted to a second message board, and this time someone replied with the text, "If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. This text would lead to the creation of an entirely different community. People who were enamored by the strange aesthetic vibe of this image would go on to form the liminal space community.